In this vid, I'm going to be giving a second place tournament report of my city championships in Morrisville, North Carolina. So I'll quickly start off by saying that the background is different because I'm dog sitting this week, so this is the house that I'm dog sitting at. So I figured might as well just show a nice happy Christmas tree in the background rather than trying to set up a new Pokemon background. So I'm going to go ahead and start this vid off by going through my deck. I played MagneEel, which is the same deck that I played the day before. I placed second when I placed fourth in another city championship. And I made some changes to the deck to make it a little more consistent when it comes to the mirror match. I basically had taken my Magnezone line down to a fairly small line so I could fit in more draw supporters just to be able to refresh my hand, since I often found I was dead drawing. I was a little bit worried when I made the changes to go back up to a heavier Magnezone line because that did make it, that really is what was necessary for the mirror match. But yeah, I was worried that I was gonna just, dead draw in a lot of my games. I did end up dead drawing in some of them, but yeah, I'll just go ahead and start off with the deck list, and then I'll run through some of my games. So, a single Cleffa, you never know when you're gonna need a new hand, or this is great for just keeping on the bench and promoting when something gets knocked out. That way you can Dynamotor something onto your bench as, getting it ready to attack. One Creonigle. This is my Donphan counter. Ice Shard, if your opponent is fighting, does a total of 70 damage. Because Donphan's weak to water, it's doing 140 damage, which means you're knocking it out in one shot. This is what won me my last game of Swiss. I was playing a Donphan deck, and while he did have one Donphan prized, I had to use the Creonigle to take out one, and earlier I had to actually lost burn 4 to take out a fully loaded Donphan. But if it was not for this card, I probably wouldn't have pulled that game out. So if you're seeing a lot of Donphan in your area, highly recommend this card. You can easily get it set up in one turn. Basically, you don't play it and let it sit there on the bench. You only play it when you absolutely need it. So basically, you take out what you can, and when you see, you have an eel already set up, you see a spot on your bench for a Creonigle, go ahead and get it on the bench, use an eel to attach one, attach the water from your hand. There's no point in benching if you don't have the water in your hand. And then go from there. So that's a big mistake I've heard a lot of people making with Creonigle, is that they bench it and then Donphan just catchers it up and works away on it, and you don't necessarily get to use it. So that's a big part, is just waiting to play it. Two Thundurus. This is technically your ideal starter. If you can attach an energy and charge, you can get a turn 2 80 damage, which is going to be knocking out a lot of basics. So, and this is also a great way to not only get energy on the field, but then to get energy into the discard pile to be able to recycle with your eels. I played 2 Zekroms as my Durant counter. A couple Bolt Strikes and then Outraging just constantly takes out Durants in one hit. It is also my secondary big hitter. I don't want to be wasting all my, Thundurus is my only other attacker other than Magnezone, and 80 damage just sometimes isn't enough to do it. So I don't have to burn all my energy with Magnezone. I really like using Bolt Strike to be able to do a significant amount of damage, and even if it gets knocked out, typically it's still pretty early in the game, and I can recover with a Magnezone, and I won't have to put as much energy in the discard pile. Having a fully loaded Zekrom being knocked out, as long as it's not like the last prize or something like that, is definitely not a bad thing. That's going to put 3 energy in the discard pile for you to recycle with your eels. Which goes on to my next line of Pokemon. I run a 3-3 line of the Electric. This is the big part of your deck. This is your energy acceleration. You get energy into the discard pile, and then you can put them onto your bench with Electric. I run the 40 HP Dynamos for a few different reasons. Kyurem is going to be able to Glaciate for 30, meaning it's going to be able to knock out a Dynamo in one hit. You definitely don't want that. It does have a retreat cost, but at the same time, being able to pay that cost to retreat is going to put energy into the discard pile to be able to reuse later with your eels. I also really like Thunder Wave because not only can it put that 10 damage on, onto Pokemon with 130 HP that can later be prepped for a Bolt Strike knockout from Zekrom, but it also has a chance of paralysis, which can mean you never know when a paralyzed Pokemon is going to make or break the game for you. It's not ideal to have this as a starting Pokemon or to have to use Thunder Wave, but it's definitely come in handy quite a few times. So on to the big hitter of the deck. I increased my line of Magnezone to a 4-2-3 line. And this is pretty much what you want to be your late game attacker or your attacker to take out any, really big, powerful Pokemon that's going to take a few turns to whittle away on. Lost Burn does 50 times the amount of energy you put into the discard or under the Lost Zone. So while you're burning through your energy, you can be taking out really heavy Pokemon in one shot, which hopefully they're not just running a bunch of high HP basics, and hopefully, that's going to slow them down for a little while. Magnetic Draw is the other crucial part of this deck, is being able to have a Magnezone in play gives you access to use trainers supporters like N and Judge that allow you to disrupt your opponent but still recover. Magnetic Draw is also great just for being able to use some of the trainers up in your hand and being able to draw a fresh hand in order to try and get a particular card that you're looking for. So since the energy line is pretty straightforward, I'll just go over that next before I get into the trainers and supporters. 2 water energy for that Creonicle, and then 11 lightning energy. So I brought my energy count down from 14 to 13 from over the course of the weekend. I think this was still a safe play. I just really had to focus on not using Magnezone early on and trying to focus on Thundurus and Zekrom, and then using Magnezone as a late game sweeper or just a heavy hitter if I really needed it. Another big thing in this deck is if you don't need the Creonicle, go ahead and get your water energy into the Lost Zone if you have that option. You can always recycle your electric energy, but you can't recycle your water energy, and you don't always want to rely on that Super Rod to be able to get them back. So now on to trainers and supporters. I run 4 Collector, which I think is just pretty much a necessity. Anytime I would drop below 4 Collector, I would be wanting to run a Pichu and just ensure that I can fill up my bench. Yeah, pretty much if I see a Collector in my hand in the first turn, I've got a good hand. So that Collector is going to give you a lot of options early in the game. I run 4N. Not only does it serve as a great hand refresher in the beginning, but ideally you're going to want to use that after your opponent's taken a few prizes. I won quite a few games with this card. They only had 2 to 3 prizes left. They had a big hand. I was able to end them, still recover with my Magnezone, but left them with a hand of very little to do not much with. So N is just a really big card right now, and I think it's definitely just an essential card with Magnezone. The last supporter that I run, as you can, if you watch my other vid, I took out the Pawn and the Judge that I had in here, is Sage's Training. You look at the top 5 cards of your deck, discard 3, and choose 2. This is great not only for putting energy into the discard pile, but for trying to, if you're under trainer luck, you can toss out the trainers. If you're just trying to get set up, you have a much better chance of getting a, Candy Magnezone up if you've got a few Sage to burn through. So those are the only supporters that I run, and that was my big fear kind of going into the tournament right after Saturday, was going in with a deck that obviously I tested the deck itself quite a lot, but I hadn't tested it running so few supporters. I was used to, I believe the other deck list I had was 3 Sage, 3 N, 4 Collector, 2 Judge, and 2 Pont. So I took out 3 big draw supporters, and I was afraid that was going to hurt me, but yeah, it really didn't overall hurt me. So now on to my trainers. I run 3 Pokemon Communication just because I run quite a few Pokemon in the deck. I really don't need the 4th Communication I found, just because I can always reutilize my communication with Junk Arm. Since I do run a heavier Magnezone line, I increase my rare candy count to 3. Since not Magnezone has a hefty retreat cost and the eels have a 2 retreat cost, I have 2 switch in there. Then I have 4 Junk Arm to be able to reuse anything in my deck. Junk Arm, or not reuse anything, I'm sorry, reuse any trainer in my deck. And Junk Arm is also great for getting those lightning energy into the discard pile. There's been quite a few times where I've had, a Junk Arm, a handful of energy, and maybe, a Pokemon or something, and, I can Junk Arm some of those energy away, be able to communicate into an eel or something, and just get them right back. So, I love Junk Arm in this deck. Actually, I love Junk Arm in any non-trainer lock deck. 1 Super Rod. This is mainly for not decking yourself out, because with the Sage and the Magnetic Draw, you are going to be going through your deck pretty fast. And if you can't take 6 prizes as fast as you're drawing, you will deck out and you will automatically lose. So I found that I'm often using Super Rod and even Junk Arming for Super Rod to use it again, just to prevent myself from decking out. Super Rod is also very important for getting those water energy back into your deck if for whatever reason you had to burn them earlier on and you weren't able to loss burn them. You want to have, in a deck like this, you want to have access to all of your energy at all times. And then finally, I run 2 Pokemon Catcher because you never know when you're going to need it. I won my first game just because I was able to keep on catching up his Oddish and knocking them out before he could get really draw into his twins to get a Vileplume set up. And yeah. So I'll briefly run over some of my games. My first game was against a Chandelure Vileplume, and against one of the best players I know. I pretty much sat down thinking I was gonna lose, knowing that, especially once I saw Oddish hit the field, my heart just sunk. But luckily, I got well, I wouldn't say I got a great start, but I got a Thundurus up and going and a catcher. And that's really all I needed. From there on, I was able to work with what I pulled to be able to just keep on taking out those Oddish. I took 4 prizes off of Oddish. And in the deck, in a Chandelure Vileplume deck, that's really your biggest... That's really the biggest thing you have to do, is just try and make sure that they don't get up the Vileplume. Sometimes that can't be avoided. There's only so much Oddish you can take out before they can, have access to their Twins engine. But, you do what you can. So I kind of felt bad about that win just because he really wasn't able to get the Vileplume up pretty fast. My second game was a really difficult match. It was against well, the only real ones I really moment are Kyurem and Electrode. I feel like there was a Cobalion. I honestly don't remember if there was a Cobalion in there or not, if it was a true cake deck. But I just remember dead drawing for like the first 4 turns before I finally started hitting some supporters. And yeah, it came down, I believe, to the last prize. And basically the only reason I won was just being able to end him into absolutely nothing, and then just recover and do what I could from there. My third game was a bit interesting. It was against a combination of theme decks, and surprisingly that combination of theme decks had also gone 2-0 at that point. So I was a little concerned going into that game. I knew he ran Samurott, which I felt great against because, I've run Lightning, so I've got the type advantage there. And that he ran Scolipede, and I know Scolipede is a hefty poisoner. But luckily he... I honestly don't know how he finished. I can't say that he just got lucky in his first 2 games, or just got just a better, or if it was just a better start than his opponent. But I was just able to wipe through. I probably had the best start of the day during that game, and yeah, knowing that he had already gone 2-0. I wasn't going to let the fact that he was playing a combination of theme decks throw me off, and I just went all out. And yeah, I'm pretty sure I took 6 prizes. I honestly don't think he took 1. But yeah, he had actually the guy that had beaten me in Top Cut the day before, so I feel like I was getting a little bit of revenge for him. But he was still a really cool guy. He'd only been playing for a week, so really new player, and I was just impressed that he had done so well so fast. So I definitely hope to be seeing him again. He was a good player, and I think he'll definitely continue to be a threat, a good threat later on. So let's see, my fourth game was my one loss in Swiss was against another Chandelure Vileplume, and yeah, he got the Vileplume up pretty fast, and yeah, there just wasn't much I can do. I got slaughtered. Yeah, the Chandelure deck definitely got its revenge, and there's just yeah, I just remember just kind of staring at the field, just playing it out, but knowing that I was losing and there wasn't anything I could do about it. So my fifth game, pretty much determined whether or not I go on to Top Cut or not. And I was playing a deck with Donphan in it. So I knew I had to bring out or get ready to bring out the Cryonicle. First few hands, I'm really not drawing into a whole lot. I'm able to get some stuff set up. I'm able to get a Magnezone up, but he is able to get that Electrode up. He gets 2, maybe 3 energy or so. All I remember is a fully loaded Donphan, 3 energy on him with a Rocky Helmet, and no Cryonicle in sight. I actually had to communicate my Cryonicle in just to get a Magnezone up, just for draw power. Like I said before, you don't want to play Cryonicle until you have your eels up and going, so you can put this on and get this going in one shot. So yeah, I had to burn 4 energy to take out that Rocky Helmeted, fully loaded Donphan. He had Kyurem as well, so he's spreading damage with Glaciate. He got another Donphan up, and that's when I was able to set up the Cryonicle, take a second Donphan out. He did have a third Donphan prized, so from then on, I pretty much, I believe I captured up and knocked out a Voltorb. I think I did. I don't think he got to use a second Electrode. And I remember there just being 2 Kyurem on the field, capturing up 1 and taking it out, and then I just kept ending him. I think he only had 3 prizes left, so just forcing him to end over and over to keep his hand size that small really just prevented him from doing anything. And with my Magnezone, I was able to easily recover from ending myself and was able to pull it out. So that was an amazing game. I was just... He's a really good friend of mine, and I wasn't expecting to win that one. I was lucky that the Donphan was prized, and honestly, I think I played that game really well, though. That was probably one of my best played games. I don't think I made any misplays that I can think of, and I really played it right. So then I found out that one of the 4 ones actually wasn't going to make Top Cut. Actually, I think 2. The 4 ones didn't make Top Cut. Luckily, I wasn't one of them. I came in 3rd, or at the 3rd seed, which meant I was going up against the same Chandelure Vileplume deck that I had lost to earlier in the day. So I'm going into the first game not feeling great. I'll try and keep this video a little shorter than it's going. But what I ended up doing was I was able to take quite a few prizes. And basically, I only had 1 prize left. I had a Magneton on the bench. He ended me down to 1. He had the Vileplume up. He had everything. He would have won the game. I forget how many prizes he had left. He ends his turn. I draw my card, and it's a Magnezone. So I immediately evolve, get to draw 5, and I get the energy. I believe that's all I needed was 1 more energy, as well as the Magnezone, to be able to win. So I won the first game. Second game was pretty much what the Chandelure Vileplume deck should do. He got the Vileplume fast, he spread the damage, he de-evolved with Jirachi, yeah, I didn't have as good a setup in that game. The Vileplume got up way too fast, and, well, not way too fast. He got up when Vileplume, probably about the speed he, intended to, but he got up the Vileplume way too fast for me to be able to really get a sufficient setup. So I was just kind of struggling throughout the game. So then we go into the third game, and unfortunately we only had an hour for top cut, which meant we still had to fit, I think we only had maybe 10 or 15 minutes left in the third game. And unfortunately, Chandelure Vileplume is just a deck that does not typically win on time. I was able to take a few prizes early in the game. The deck is designed to spread and de-evolve for damage and take other knockouts along the way, but pretty much take a lot of prizes near the end of the game. And I tried not to. I was not stalling intentionally, but just making sure that I wasn't rushing myself too much. And I find that when I tend to rush just to save time, I make misplays. So I was I didn't intentionally stall, but it did come down to time, and I think I had taken. I had a 1 or 2 prize lead on him after the 3 turns. So I was pretty shocked, but I ended up going on to top 2. What do I face in top 2? Another Chandelure Vileplume. And this was the one that I had beaten in my first round. But that definitely, since I placed second, wasn't how it played out in Top Cut. I made a huge misplay the first game, and even with his Ambipom on the bench, I burned 1 from my bench and 1 from my active, leaving only 1 energy on my active Magnezone. He brings up Ambipom, Tailcodes, and he already had the Vileplume set up, which leaves me stuck. I have no way of retreating. I've got a dead Magnezone right there. He can just sit there and spread damage as much as he wants, and every time I attach an energy, he just comes and Tailcodes it off. So I played a few turns trying to think of just any way that I could possibly get out of it. Realized that there was absolutely nothing I could do, and I just scooped. I could have been really mean and played it out, hoping to win the second game and then hoping to win the third game on time, but that's just not the way I would want to win a tournament. So went on to the second game, and I can honestly say that now that I learned my lesson about watching the monkey, that I made sure that I had energy attached, and then I started to not draw into energy. I had a Magnezone with 2 energy in the active position, and then I end for like 5 cards or something, and I drew all trainers. I start drawing into my deck. I continue drawing trainers. So, basically I hold off on attacking, knowing that he's got the Apom, knowing that if I attack and burn my energy, he's just going to come up and prevent me from ever attacking again. So I'm intentionally holding out, thinking that I'm eventually going to draw into some energy. 4 turns later, I think it was 4 turns, I still have no energy. And he's seeing that, I'm just dead drawing. I'm being forced to pass. So I believe he collected, got the Apom out, and went ahead and tailcoded one of my energies off my Magnezone, hoping that I wouldn't top deck into an energy, which would have at least given me a knockout, and possibly hope of winning the game. I draw into another energy. I'm sorry, I draw into another trainer. I had no supporters in my hand, nothing to play, nothing to do, no way of getting an energy, and I had no choice but to pass. He was able to tailcode another energy off, and that was the game. So an amazing player. I'm definitely not ashamed of losing to him. I'm kicking myself for my misplay in the first game, but I still think he had the better deck, and unless I got very, very lucky in the third game, even if I'd pulled out that first game, I think he would have been, I think he would have won. And even in my top cut match, earlier, if that game had gone to time, my opponent would have won. I can admit that the only reason I won was on time. But overall, it was a great day. It was a great weekend. My first city's top was on Saturday. My second was on Sunday. And yeah, definitely second place cities finished is the best I've ever done. So I was pretty proud. I got some championship points for that. I also got 10 packs of Noble Victories, which I had to rush off to work after that, so I didn't get to open them. So I'm going to open these up in the next video. And I also won, oops, didn't mean to knock the camera, a Superior tin from the raffle. So I'm really excited about this. I've already opened this tin. I believe is it the Superior Ability tin? Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, it comes with a figure, comes with, like, was it, 5 booster packs, the online code card, the promo card, and a Superior figure. So pretty cool. Won this in the raffle. This is for sale. What I can do, so since shipping costs would be pretty high, since it's kind of a big bulky tin, is I can reduce this. Like I can break it down and just send you the packs and the card and whatnot for a reduced price. So yeah, just taking offers on it. And then I will open these in the next video, and I'll promote this in the next video as well, since I've already rambled on long enough about all my games, and hopefully you weren't terribly bored. Yeah, I had a great weekend, and I hope you guys enjoyed this tournament report. MagneEel is a great deck. Feel free to take my list and use it, and you know, have fun with it. It's a fun deck, and I really enjoy it. So thanks for watching.